The People Playbook is for professional business owners and leaders who understand business rises and falls on people. You will hear practical, real-world conversations on clear leadership, smart hiring, and building strong teams. All formulas for retention. Get ready to hear your professional peers and industry experts as they discuss lessons learned and best practices. Get that journal out. You'll be taking lots of notes.
Welcome to the People Playbook with Coach Cora here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Today we have a very special treat. We are still in our hiring series, and with us today is a business owner who is out in that world trying to hiring, and doing really good things around bringing them on and keeping them, and still challenged with retaining some of those employees. So we're going to hear from the thick of it, from the out there in the field doing the work. Today we have Dani Martin, and she owns a really cool little shop. Right, Dani? Out there in Arkansas. Bryant, Arkansas is where you are. You have just a neat shop, right?
Yes. I think it's neat.
Well, you know what I love about it is it's kind of a dream for you all. You had the cotton shed was your business, and then you expanded, and now you have a community shop. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. I'd always wanted to have a small shop ever since I was in college. So it's really been a lifelong goal of mine.
And the exciting part about getting to own your business and have others there is you get to bring your dogs to work.
I do. Yeah. They're more popular than anything. People come in just to see the dogs.
I can understand that. And I understand there in that part of the world that the cotton is very popular there, manufacturing cotton, selling cotton. Is that correct?
Yes. It's the history in this part of the country goes back a long time. It was a staple item that was grown. Agriculture is still very, very big in Arkansas. So it's got a long history for sure.
So you're very connected to the community and what it produces with your shop. And then you have other people in your shop that come and offer their goods. Correct.
We rent spaces to folks in the town and from the surrounding towns to sell their items as well.
And so we talked about this a little bit. You have a team of employees of approximately 15 all said and told. Is that accurate?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you have a nice sized team that you lean on for the success of your business in terms of serving the clients that come in as well as the vendors that are also there. They're both your customer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've been doing some good things around hiring, right? Doing your best and doing your research, right?
Yeah, I think we have. We've definitely learned a lot. So we've owned the business for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we're much better at it now than we were 10 years ago.
Right. So much of business ownership is just the learning, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And I thought you had some really good strategies. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you took who you thought, like, this is one of our really good employees. Where did they come from and where do we go get them? And so you were replicating in terms of where you were looking. Yes.
So we kind of identified that high school students and college students are a great talent pool for us for a variety of reasons. One of the things that we like the most is they don't come with a lot of bad habits that they've learned elsewhere. So we get to teach them to do things the way we want. And then we've learned that for recruiting, getting our great employees to do our recruiting for us is our best strategy because they don't want to bring anybody on board who's going to drag the team down. And people that, are good folks, are good kids, we call them kids, are good kids, hang out with other good kids. So they know, who's got a good work ethic in their group. For sure.
And the other thing I find interesting is one of the tenements of retention is connection. And if they're bringing in people that they know, that they like, nobody wants to leave because they want to keep working with their friend. So that can be beneficial as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And do you see friendships forming, even if they didn't know each other? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do. In fact, one of our employees just today said something about how they're all on Snapchat together. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So there's stuff going on outside of work that we don't know about. And I'm okay with that because, they socialize. They go out to dinners together and they do stuff together outside of work, which we think is fabulous.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. And I'm being very intentional. I'm bringing the right people. I'm connecting them. They're getting along. Yet you're experiencing some challenges in your talent. So what are some of the challenges that you are still having?
So I think that I would narrow it down to just not having a super deep labor pool. We've got, we're a small town. We're outside of Little Rock, and there's just not a huge labor market, and people of every age, I think, have become much more choosy about their jobs the last couple of years for a variety of reasons. Mm-hmm. And so it's just recruiting applicants is our biggest challenge for sure.
Yeah. And you just spoke for a majority of the business owners out there. We have a plan. We know who we want. We want to go out and get them. Where are they? And we need more.
Yes.
And the other thing you said is not just that there's less, but there's a higher expectation. And it has been very interesting to watch this play out a little bit. I'm going to age myself. I've got 6 decades on this planet. And when I first entered the workforce, we used to enter the workforce when we were 13, 14, 12. Mm-hmm. When I first entered the workforce, we were grateful. Oh my gosh, I can go earn some money. And it was a big deal to get to go pick strawberries or catch chickens. Whatever things we had the opportunity to do work, we had to do a good job to keep it, or we would lose our job. And we needed the money. We wanted the job. And even as we moved into the workforce and moved up, we were so grateful. And we had a very high tolerance, if you will. Then we went through that whole era of the war on talent. Everybody's fighting for the same talent, right? And as a result, just to what you're speaking about, the whole expectations of employer and employee really flipped. Where we used to have employers that had super high standards and employees that would stand for anything. Now we have employees that have super high standards of who they work for.
Right.
And one of the worst things that employers can do, but we see it in whole industries, is they drop their standards. And I think that's one of the things you were talking about you didn't want to do, right?
Yes. We have learned, because we, just like everybody probably at some point in our time or another has done, we have hired from a point of desperation. We've made the mistake. And I knew at the time, like, we probably shouldn't be doing this, but you just get to that point where you're like, I need somebody here to open the door and turn on the lights. And reality always reminds us, don't hire from that point. Like, it's better to come in and turn on the lights yourself a couple days a week than to bring a wrong fit onto the team. So we are trying really hard to not do that. And now we're trying to train our manager not to do that, because every once in a while she'll say, we just need somebody. I'm like, I know, but don't hire from that point.
Yeah.
You'll regret it in the long term.
Absolutely. And I think that is such an important lesson. And I'm so glad you shared that out, because it is tempting. It's so tempting. I just need somebody. I need a pulse. And to your point, you may get somebody in there, but the consequences can be really steep.
Yeah, it's hard on the rest of the team. It's hard on us as the owners and the leadership. I've in my career had to let people go multiple times in different roles, and the difference just in how I feel after that happens, I'm sad that it came to that point, and I feel bad for that person, but at the same time, there's just a lightness where you're like, I know this is the right decision for the company or for the business. And I think that we don't realize how much heaviness we're carrying around when we have a bad hire or an underperforming employee.
I love that. That was so well said. And I think that's so important for so many leaders to hear from a peer. Like, I get it. I know. However, and I think it's super important. And we've even seen that happen in industry where there's strict quotas on how many people you have to have. We've seen that in law enforcement. We've seen it in healthcare. We've seen it in just some of these industries that it matters that you have the right people. And so for those departments in law enforcement that said, we just need people, and they significantly dropped their standards, believe me, they felt that pain. It would have been better just to borrow from the county, negotiate from another agency than to bring people in. And the same in healthcare. The stakes are really high. And when you start bringing people in because you have to have this many nurses per residence, and so they drop their standards, it's very problematic and the consequences are very real. So having that conviction to say, whatever we need to do, we're going to still maintain our standards, right?
Yeah, and we're not in anything nearly as serious as law enforcement or healthcare, but it's still important.
It is. It's important to you. And this is Cora, Coach Cora with the People Playbook. We're on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. And we're with Dani Martin. She's the owner of the Cotton Shed. And we're talking about the challenges of hiring and all the things she's doing right and how she's still struggling with this limited talent pool. We're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsor, and Dani and I will come back and talk about some solutions. Today's episode of the People Playbook with Coach Cora is brought to you by TLC Total Lawn Care. You know that first impressions matter, and at TLC Total Lawn Care, their mission is simple: protecting their customers' image. For over 25 years, local and family-owned TLC Total Lawn Care has served Central and South Texas commercial and residential clients with trusted, complete landscape contracting and irrigation services delivered by their team of skilled, licensed professionals you can trust to consistently enhance the curb appeal of your property. TLC Total Lawn Care's foundational values of trust, development, and integrity have contributed to their expert ability to provide unified management across your portfolio. They have simplified the logistics to enhance consistent quality. So clean up your image. Call TLC Total Lawn Care today at 1-800-796-8087 or visit their website at tlclawncare.com. Welcome back to the People Playbook with Coach Cora, and with us we have Dani Martin, and she is the owner of the Cotton Shed and the High Cotton Decor store, and we're talking about the challenges that face most business owners, a limited talent pool. So we want to talk a little bit about, well, what can we do? And Dani, you and I had a really good conversation about some of the options. And can you share with the audience, you have other business out there, business owners and leaders, and they're having that same thin labor pool. What are a couple of strategies that you've employed already that have been helpful?
Sure. So our number one strategy is referrals. So primarily we focus that on our current employees, asking them for referrals. We have a referral bonus structure where they get cash if we interview and hire somebody that they referred. And then we also ask our vendors who rent space from us, we ask them for referrals. We do a lot of reaching out to our community, our online community on social media, and then our customer base, and let them know we're hiring. Please send people who are looking our way, because people who are familiar with us in any way, whether a customer all the way up to employee, we feel are our best recruiters, because they can talk about what kind of people we are and what kind of business we have and what kind of environment we try to create. So that is our number one strategy.
And I applaud you. I think that's a great strategy. And I think there's many out there that also, we have referral bonuses, right? We have good benefits. One of your biggest benefits, they get to work with Maggie and Harper, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to work with the dogs on there? I mean, that's, and also reaching out to the community. So we have the benefits, we have bonuses, we have referrals. I think that's really strong. One of the things that happens is sometimes when we're experiencing this limited labor market is we want to cast this wider net and we want to reach out to more people and more types of employees and different locations, and we really widen that net. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yes, for sure.
And then there's the counterintuitive part where we say, instead of casting a wider net, what if I got clearer with who I want and what that person has or wants or needs? And I think that's an important strategy. So to your point, you're connected to your community, and your community, your friends and your supporters want to support you. And the more clarity we can provide them on who we're looking for, the better salesperson and the better referral, the better they can be in driving that person to you. Have you thought about that before?
I think we have, Cora, but I don't think that we were super conscious about it. So I think it's been one of the things that we've learned over time. But I think until you kind of defined it, I would not have said that was something that we were doing. But when I look back on how we've changed our recruiting and advertising messages, especially in the last 5 to 6 years, I can see that we have done that.
Nice. And did that work for you?
I think it is. Of course, we went through a dry spell in 2020 and 2021 where we would go months without getting any applications.
Yeah.
That has been changing around a little bit. We're getting some now. We're still not getting as many as we have. Mm-hmm. But I think that the more specific we get in our messaging, we are probably doing some self-selecting out of applicants, which I actually think is better in the long run.
Yeah. And the other strategy many businesses take, I'll just use restaurants as an example. You've seen restaurants take a couple different strategies. One is, we're just not going to allow the flow of business and we're not going to ruin our reputation. And so they slow down the business. And that's a tough choice to say we're going to do less business because we don't have the people. And I've walked into restaurants and you'll see like it's half empty and they'll say, yeah, it's a 10-minute wait. And you're thinking, what? But they want to stick to their quality. And if they don't have the cooks or the staff, then they're going to slow down the business. And that's a tough decision. But the other side of it is they're not losing business hand over fist because everybody's getting horrible business and everybody's talking about it. The other strategy we've seen is they've streamlined processes so that they can do the business with fewer people. Mm-hmm. We've seen them change things up. I've seen a couple of concepts that have gone to, you just have one person taking the order on either the whole or half a floor. And then they have somebody else that delivers drinks, somebody else that delivers food, somebody else. So they've really looked at their process and said, how can we be more efficient in how we're doing this? And that may be you can pay yourself at the table. What's something that's sucking up our employees' time? Handling the bill. You know what? We'll just put that on the table. So there's some different strategies. Have you and your husband thought about what some of these different strategies might be?
I think that we need to do better at that. So we've really, over the last, especially year and a half, focused pretty heavily on building out our systems and processes. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great suggestion to actually look more closely at where are the bottlenecks and what can we do to reduce or eliminate them. That isn't a specific view that we've taken, like consciously again, right? I think, again, we've probably done some of this just by the school of hard knocks, but I think there's huge value in sitting down and saying, okay, where are the stoppages and what can we do about them? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I like that. I was at a international talent conference in Nashville this summer, and they had, do you know there's a job called a futurist?
No.
Yes, there are people, and their job is they are a futurist. And this futurist was speaking to all of the talent people around some of the topic of AI is big, right? Everybody's talking about AI. And this person, I was so taken with their perspective, and I think he was right on. He said, there's a lot of companies that will employ and implement AI as a way to reduce headcount and to reduce touch points. And he said, I would predict they will fail. But there's also companies that are looking at AI as a way to help their employees be more efficient and have more time with touch points with customer and quality. So if I can bring,
brilliant.
Right? If I can bring AI in, not so that AI is taking all these customer calls that are upset because something isn't working, using AI to support employees in their jobs so they have more time to help customers and relieve their frustration and take care of them quicker.
Yeah, I think that's really smart.
So that's why I suggest really thinking about, for the employees that I have, how do I help them be more effective? And then they feel like they're being successful in doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? And they can stay and others. And there's just a lot of good to that. The other thing... Well,
and hopefully the customer feels that, right?
Oh, right?
That's the point.
Right, right. That when I come in, I'm getting the good service. It's not that I can't find anybody to help me. I get really good service when I get there. Yeah. And then something else to consider, and I don't know what this looks like in your world over there because you're in a smaller community, but there's a grocery store here, a big chain, and they made a bold move a couple decades ago that has influenced a whole industry. They needed truck drivers, and there wasn't enough. And they had very high standards. They had standards around driving record and drug use. And they refused to drop their standards. So they went back to the basics. Like, what do we need? We need somebody who can drive trucks. What is our expectations? We want no drug use, zero drug use, and we don't want any violations. We want safe drivers, 1,000%. We won't back off on that. And through that, they continued to look at that. They said, well, maybe we're looking in the wrong place. Maybe we're leaving out 50% of our workforce. What would happen if we started talking to women? Because when you start gauging, and that's when they started bringing the data in, who is it that typically has aggressive driving? And I'm not trying to, have statistics. I'm not trying to influence that, one person is better than the other. But statistically, the more aggressive drivers and the higher drug use was with one gender, not the other. And so what they found was there wasn't very many women who were active truck drivers. And so what they did is they paved the way, said, hey, we'll pay for it. It's great. It's just a little milk run. You'll be home by 5. You'll make super good money, and we'll pay for your school. And it set in motion a whole change in the industry because now you see a lot of women truck drivers. Because what they realized when they really broke that work down and said, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to be big. You don't have to lift heavy things. You just have to know how, which we can do through training,
right,
to drive. And it changed the game, not just for them. They got to keep their standards. It changed an industry. I share that because I'm curious if you've thought about, is there a pool in the labor market you're missing?
Yeah, I think that's probably something that we need to take a look at because we have really targeted this kind of student age market. We probably have missed some other folks, whether it's moms who have young kids at home and are looking for something to do during the day, or retired folks. I think there's probably something there that we can do better.
Yeah, I would imagine that might take some thought.
Yeah, for sure.
Dani, I sure appreciate you joining us, sharing what's happening out there, and being willing to be open to the conversation. I'm sure you're helping a lot of leaders. What's one thing you would want everybody to know about hiring and retaining employees that you've learned in your 10 years of business ownership?
So it would be what I already said, which is do not lower your standards. Do not hire just to fill a spot. You may solve a very short-term problem, but you're going to create a longer-term problem that's going to impact your whole team and yourself, I think, more than we think it will.
Perfect. That was just perfect. Well, thank you, Dani. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is Cora with the People Playbook on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. And join us next week as we continue our discussion on hiring.
Thank you for listening to the People Playbook. For more information, Coach Cora can be found on LinkedIn and at CoachCora.com. Let's meet here next Saturday, 2 p.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.